Okay, guys, I'm taking a risk today. Last episode, I switched shorts because I know that there's the same exact color as the chair today. Guess what? I'm in a rush. So I didn't change the shorts. You let me know. Does it look like I don't have pants on? Does it look like I go straight from just these tan legs to torso? Or what? By the way, new shoes. I think I wore them last episode though. Loving them. Loving them. Tried the run with them. They did not do very well on the run, but they're good casual wear shoes. Welcome back. Moto Academy. What is this? Where are we? Moto Academy podcast. Editor's note. Right off the rip. This is episode 99.5. We're not calling it 100 yet because this is going to be a speed episode. We're going to do a 30-minute solo ep. Never said that before. Today, completely by myself. And then we're going to make episode 100 super special. I didn't know it was episode 100 until good old Grant sent us a text a couple days ago. He said, hey, just an FYI. It might have been good, by the way, to get a little more notice on the 100 episodes, but that's okay. He goes, hey, this weekend, this next episode is number 100, so make it count. So we're delaying it. 99.5 is what we're calling this one because it's going to be a short episode all by myself. I'm going to talk about a couple things I haven't talked about much all year, really, is the pro racing. I want to talk about it a little bit. Some things that I've observed and some thoughts that I've had while watching. I haven't been watching full motos, but I've watched some full motos and I've watched enough to get a good gist of what's going on. Outdoor motos just take a long time to watch. It is quite nice though. Great opportunity to study for everybody that's in the Moto Academy app or is trying to get better as a rider. There's a lot to be studied when you watch outdoors, and it's cool because they'll pick up a rider and you can follow them around the track for a lot of times, laps at a time and pick things apart, good or bad. The more you can recognize in others, the better you'll be able to recognize it in yourself and be able to make those changes in real time in your own riding. But it starts with being able to recognize it in other people. So yeah, that's what I always tell people at classes. Hey guys, today's going to be a day information overload, but hopefully what it does is it gives you some good understanding and some good base level knowledge so that when you watch a race on TV, you watch it with a bit more intent and you can pull more from it, which is cool. So I have been doing a little bit of that and I want to talk about it. I'm not going to answer any questions because I can't seem to find my phone. Whoopsie daisy. And basically, other than that, I'm going to just make stuff up as I go. What else is this episode going to be about? We fly to Florida today for a vacation in the middle of July. Not sure why, but I think it's going to be awesome regardless. So we're going somewhere in Florida. Don't even know where. East Coast. We got a house right on the water, which would be cool. And yeah, we're going to spend a week. Mill Dogs wanted to hit the beach. So we're hitting the beach for a week. And that's what's really cool about the Moto Academy is that we are remote. So shoot, all my employees have the best job in the world because they can do it whenever they want, wherever they want to do it. And me as well. So I'll be working from the Airbnb, which is cool. And I'm extremely grateful for, by the way. So thank you guys that go to the tour. Thank you guys that are inside of the app and give me the flexibility of my schedule that I have to be able to spend as much time with Millie, our 8-month-old daughter, as humanly possible. As I look around, that's one thing that a lot of people don't have is that freedom of time, right? A lot of people might be even doing really well financially, but are working so many hours in a week and out of the house so many hours out of the week to make that happen, that having a kid and juggling and balancing that as a single parent, props to you guys. I don't even know how that's possible. I don't know how my mom did it. But even as a team, Allie and I we're a good team too. And it is very difficult. It's way more difficult for her than it is for myself because she's mom and Millie needs mom. And shout out to all the moms out there. because even the involved dads, like myself, it still isn't even close. I mean, what Allie does is nuts. But anywho, it's very nice to be able to be home. I've never been home my entire life. Well, maybe when I was little, but from the time I was really memories from when I can remember, let's say age 14 and up. I don't remember anything before age 14. I don't know why. I don't know if I was just that unconscious that I was paying that little attention. I still remember very little from 14 to 24. Still very unconscious human being at that point, but maybe just paying attention a little bit to remember some things. I have been a gypsy and traveling that entire time. So to be home took a lot of adjustment at first. It was part of the reason I enjoyed reading all the books that I was reading, is because it was a difficult change up. I think I was avoiding reality in a big part by just like go, 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 go. And then when you stop, it all hits you like, whoa, hang on. What's the point? Basically is the question of like, what is the point of all of this? You know, I worked so hard to get all this money to be able to get where I am now, which is to be able to be home and do nothing. And then why is it that my first instinct is to not want to be here and to want to go out and keep going for what reason? And so, yeah, that's a lot of self-reflection, a lot of learning to understand like how to be present and enjoy just slowing down and doing nothing a lot of the time. And I'm getting there. Allie's getting there. Millie's just high level. She's on it. What else? Pretty tan nowadays. Shout out to Turkey. How's my hair looking? I feel like I'm having a good hair day. Just got my hair cut. Shout out to Turkey for this hair. I'm sure I've talked about it at some point, but it's probably been a while. For those of you wondering, like, hey, I used to watch your content, or maybe an old clip popped up. You were going pretty bald. Like, what? How did we turn that around? Still not the best head of hair, but it's not that bad. Had what is it called? A hair transplant 2 years ago now. Maybe it was 3 years ago in Istanbul, Turkey. And it made a freaking heck of a difference. I'd highly recommend to anybody. I went to a place called Smile Hair Clinic. Let them know I sent you, because I will be going back for a second treatment. And what they do is they take out individual follicles from the back of your head, literally individual, one by one. I do it as if they're plucking them out. I don't know how they actually get them out. And it hurt though. And then they slit holes into wherever they want to put the hair and transplant it into. So they designed my new hairline in the front, and then basically just draw on and mark where they want to put all of the hair follicles. And then it grows back. And when it does, you don't re-experience the male pattern baldness that you did before. So the transplanted hair, once it takes, I believe, this is what they told me, is that it stays. It doesn't fall out again. The only thing is that I was starting to go so bald and thinning in so many of the other areas that I need a second treatment. The first one was either 3,000 or 4,000 grafts. It was a lot. So they pulled 3,000 or 4,000 hair follicles from the back, put it on the top, but they were only able to do the hairline in the front, a little bit right here on top, and then kind of spread them out on the crown. So if I were to get it, or when I get it again, I'm going to get more in the crown so the back of my head doesn't look so bald, and then more kind of in this middle area. And it was like $2,000 or $3,000, or maybe euros. And that included everything. So that included the procedure, what I went home with after the fact, which was it Propecia, or it was something that, and I never even used it, that I was supposed to be using in my hair after the fact. Never did it. I actually paid a lot of money. I paid a few $100 extra for it too. Never used it. 5-star hotel, transport to and from. It was all included in the pricing, which was really cool. And yeah, they do a great job of like showing you the process ahead of time. Their website's really good. The videos and the way they explain it is very thorough. And yeah, it was freaking awesome. So if you're balding, go to Turkey, because it was worth it. A couple $1,000 invested in the hair, looks a million times better. And then probably less than a couple $1,000 invested in my teeth. I got Invisalign, got them professionally whitened, and had probably 3 different dentist sessions where he was like properly trying to grind them straight and still make them look natural, but like trying to grind them straight, because I had so many little chips and things going on. And they did that after the Invisalign. So once they got kind of pulled back into the place where they were going to end up, then they whitened them. Then they kind of chiseled them in, made them look a little better. I'll probably do another run of Invisalign, try to get them a little bit better, but world of difference on that too, because if I see old footage of my teeth, quite a big difference. Quite a big difference. The bottom, what happens is the bottom just keep crowding and crowding and crowding. So if you don't have a permanent retainer in, it doesn't matter how perfect your teeth are, your bottoms will start to really crowd and get bad over time. The tops, not as much. This podcast can be absolutely all over the place, just completely all over the place. What else is new? Millie's been ripping on her Strider. Can't touch the ground yet, but I tell you, she had a good crash on it the other day. We were ripping around a corner, doing a right-hander, just a tight 90-degree right around the couch in the living room. I don't know if she just messed up line choice a little bit, but front washed real quick. And yeah, a little bit of a lack of upper body stability. She didn't have the abs as tight as she should have. And her outside hand fell off and she fell inside of the bike. But we learned. We watched the footage. Allie got it on film. We won't make that same mistake again. And she learned from it. So other than that, she's been really working on wheelies. We were able to jump from the living room down into the sunroom, which is a few feet step down. And yeah, if you guys know me, not a huge step down fan, but Millie's been greasing them and then she'll turn around and step right back up it. Oh, excuse me. Whew, that just gave me the chills. Holy cow. That was a good one. So yeah, she's been getting the Strider motos in, Millie motos, and been playing the piano a little bit. I learned the piano over the last few weeks, learned a few songs. I know is it the notes? So I know kind of in between the 2 black ones is D, I think. And then I'm usually able to find my stuff from there. So they go to G and then it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Is that right? Yeah. E, F, G. And then it starts at A again. And that's the whole piano all the way down. So simple concept once you learn that. And then it's hard. Holy cow, it's hard. But at least getting a base level understanding of it. So that way I can learn with Millie when she starts to learn. But she likes bouncing around on that thing, tell you that much. What else? Mitchell's stuck in Canada. Shout out Coach Mitchell. Just did a class. First of all, he went to Albany MX he did a Mastering the Basics class, which rave reviews for the Mastering the Basics class. Everybody seemed to love it. And a very small group setting, less than 10 people, maybe less than 5 people. And Mitchell had a blast, and apparently it was a great time. I'm very jealous. I wish I was a part of it. So check those out on the website. So he did that. Then he filmed 12 or 15 different drills that would be plugged into the Moto Academy app in the next couple of weeks. You guys have been asking for more drills after the course modules, so we're bringing those to you with Coach Mitchell. Then the next day, he did a class with Adam Entignap, sold out class, also at Albany MX. I think that went extremely well. And then he flew, must have been, straight from there to Canada, taught a class at Whispering Pines MX in Canada. Shout out Karaoke, Jerryoke. Shout out Jerryoke up there. Saw a video of him just Jerryokeing it up. He did have an MX Factory shirt on, so I don't know what happened there. But other than that, quite awesome. And now Mitchell's stuck in Canada. So, well, whoopsie daisy. I just got back from also Canada, and I flew into Montreal. Listen to this, guys. I am living in Connecticut for the summer. So I fly out of Hartford, Springfield, Bradley International Airport. Not the best flight options typically, but easy airport, get in and out of. It's not the end of the world. We're 30 minutes from there. It's simple. I had to fly to Montreal, connected in Philly, had a 5-hour connection in Philly, then flew to Montreal, then waited in customs for an hour, then got to Avis rental car and had to wait 45 minutes at Avis to get the car, even though it was preferred and they had the key sitting on the thing. And then I get in the car and then type it in my GPS, DeChambeau MX, and it's 2 hours and 40 minutes from the airport. I'm like, hold on a second. You're telling me I just flew to Philly to have a 5-hour connection to then fly and wait a couple hours, then get in the car and then drive a few hours? This was like a 16-hour day of travel. And then I looked up on my phone how long it would take to just drive from Connecticut to DeChambeau, and I'm pretty sure it was 6 hours. We're leveling up as a business. We're optimizing, but whoops, that was an oversight and a half, and that cost me a solid 10 hours of my time and probably a lot of money between the rental car and the flight. Could have just drove, but hey, learn for next time. Anyhow, DeChambeau MX, beautiful track, beautiful facility, a legit facility, probably one of the most, if not the most legit places I've seen. Awesome layout, a bunch of different track options, really, really cool. Great group of riders. And what was awesome is we were able to snag Dylan Wright, who, let me just stop right there because I had the same interaction with Dylan Wright that I had with Johnny Walker. If you guys haven't heard the Johnny Walker story, I'll sum it up. Long story short, this guy in a Red Bull hat comes up to me at Red Bull Straight Rhythm with his girlfriend, and they're both kind of talking to us under the Moto Academy tent. And I'm talking to him directly now at this point, not really realizing who he is. We're just start talking about off-road, and then he mentions Erzberg, and I say I would love to do it with the team. And then I asked if he's ever been there or done it. And just very nonchalant says, yeah. Matter of fact, I've won it 5 or 6 times. It said something like that. And I just kind of look around. Everybody's like, dude, that's Johnny Walker. What are you doing? Didn't know. He was awesome. He thought it was funny, and excused my ignorance. I had a similar conversation with Dylan Wright. I knew who Dylan Wright was, but I didn't realize he is like the Jet Lawrence of Canada, and he had an undefeated season. He's won every overall the last season before he got hurt. Like, I had no idea. I'm asking him all these questions, and he's just like, yeah, I won that, or yeah, I won this, and I won that, very, very nonchalantly. And yeah, I started to put 2 and 2 together, like, oh, whoops, this guy is definitely the real deal. So had Dylan Wright with us at class. Also, cool thing here, speaks French, first of all, because must be from Quebec. And extremely, extremely humble dude, very down to earth, sociable, and loved talking to everybody. And the class was super unique in the fact that when you went to my station, you had Albert speaking English, of course. And then when you got over to his station, I think he was doing a combination of English and French. Every rider there spoke French and English, with the exception of Tanner, who was 12 Days of Christmas winner and won like unlimited free classes, I'm pretty sure is what it was, for 2024. And he lives in a perfect spot in New England where he has so many classes within a 4 or 5 hour driving radius. So he's been hitting all of them. He can't speak French, I'm pretty sure. So he might've been a little confused part of the class, but other than that, epic track. Dylan was great. I paid a little kid named William, shout out William, to film on my iPhone mic'd up for the day. And that's kind of what I've been doing at Riders Meeting, because the iPhone footage is so good nowadays. The mics that we have are absolutely amazing. And the videos that do the best on social media and are the most value to the consumer is the one-on-one interaction. So like anytime I'm engaging with students at the classes, being able to get those on mic'd up iPhone And it saves me a lot of money from having to fly in a videographer and pay them for the day. And they have all this big clunky equipment that they're walking around with, just to get the same stuff you could on an iPhone with mics. So for those of you that are wanting to start a YouTube channel or anything like that, start really ramping up on social media, use your iPhone and get the DJI, whatever the latest wireless mic is. And that's all you need. That's all you need. The iPhone videos seem to perform better anyhow, because I think it's something to do with the algorithm on Instagram. It picks up that it's an iPhone that's an iPhone video being posted, and it does better. And so at Riders meeting, I was like, "Hey, does anybody here have interest in filming me all day today?" And I go, "I'll pay you $100." And right away, I just so happened to be scanning right past where William was standing, and his hand just shot up so fast and just jumps in on the opportunity. And he got really, really, really good film. I ended up paying him 150 Canadian, because I said 100 and I go, and also I mean 100 US. And then the crowd went wild, because if you live in Canada, the US dollar highly coveted at the moment. I think the Canadian dollar is not doing too hot. And yeah, so I gave him 150 Canadian. Young kid. He must have been 12, maybe. So he was thrilled and he killed it. He got awesome footage, and it's very, very valuable to us. So I'm going to start doing that at class, honestly. Works well. So that was awesome. Didn't get stuck in Canada. Got back from that pretty painlessly, actually. And yeah, now we fly out in about an hour, which is why I keep checking the time. So let me talk a little bit about racing, things that I've observed. The biggest thing, well, a couple of things. When you watch, there's only a few people that kind of stand out technique-wise, and I'll name them. Chase Sexton, obviously. Jet Lawrence, obviously. Hunter Lawrence, obviously. Those are kind of your three in the 450. Who else we got in the 450? That's kind of your three in the 450. That ride with Moto Academy technique, that nothing really looks out of place. Nothing is super flashy. They have the most over-exaggerated, for lack of a better term, attack position. That's why I call it the Moto Academy position, because it's mechanical. You can see what's going on. It's obvious that looks different than what the other guys are doing. I only see that from Jet, Hunter, and Chase in the 450 class, at least from the guys they show on TV. There might be guys further back that they're showing that have it, but those are the three that come to mind. 250 class, I think Masterpool has really good technique, but it's not as... Of course, I'm going to call it Moto Academy. So give me a break here. It's not, and I'm going to claim it. It's not as Moto Academy technique, but a lot of feet in the pegs coming from Masterpool, which is cool. And he has extreme upper body stability to be able to keep the feet on the pegs a lot. He sits a little further back on the seat, which is what Jet does in a lot of corners as well. Masterpool is very fun to watch. And then Hymas rides very much, probably more like Hunter than like Jet, but it looks very nice. It's mechanical in the sense that you can put it in slow motion, really break it apart and emulate and copy every single thing that he's doing, which is great. What that does is it creates a foundation for a rider to then be consistent, and it keeps raising their speed ceiling. Where if you don't ride with that textbook technique, I think you hit your speed ceilings quicker. So it would be much harder to watch and emulate like a Barsha or an Anderson or even a Tomac, because there's so many specific and sometimes even unorthodox ways of doing things, that less textbook way of doing things, that it's extremely difficult, if not impossible, to replicate. What's beautiful about the guys that I'm naming here, especially those 450 guys, is that that's exactly what I teach, from the feet to the head, exactly what I teach. And it's easy to teach. It's easy to understand, and it's easy to apply one thing at a time. It just takes a lot of patience to be able to slow the heck down enough and then form new habits. for the feet, for the knees, for the hips, for the chest, for the elbows, for the head, and then piecing it together for your standing, your sitting and your standing position. Other 250 guys, so you got Hymas. Master Pool is good technique, but slightly less textbook because there's certain things that he does that are pretty unique, but very fun to watch. I enjoy watching him. And then the other person that comes to mind is Deegan. Deegan's riding has evolved a lot from even just a year ago. A lot. So props to those guys for seeking out training with different people. I know that Brian has asked me a bunch of questions before in the past, and I've given tips when I felt it was appropriate and where I felt I could help. And I think that they're learning the way that I learned technique, which was accumulating as much as you can from as many different people as you can and kind of making it your own, right? So without training directly with me to like do it the Jet or the Hunter way, I think that the Deegans are doing it really, really well. And the biggest difference from last year to this year with Hayden's technique is upper body stability. And I mentioned this at class. So if you look at footage from 2023, Hayden was really a forearm puller. So he would get anxious and kind of overexcited in the corners and really aggressive and yank forward with the forearm. So there's a few things that happens when you do that. First of all, you're pulling with the forearms, which is wrong because you should be pulling with your upper back. And I'll talk about that in a second. Secondly, you're dropping those elbows to your side when you do that. You're holding on like crazy with your hands as well. So that's where we're going to have an arm pump issue. You're turning your abs off and you're rolling your back. And when you turn your abs off and the posture goes out the door and you roll your back, now we're connecting our whole body as one. So your lower body is now connected to the upper body, and the mistakes come and are amplified like that. If that's what Deegan looked more like last year. So there's more mistakes. There was more maybe corner crashes. You're seeing less of that this year. In fact, like Deegan's crashes have been big ones, kind of going down straightaways or on landings of jumps. This year, he looks a lot more robotic and mechanical with that upper body, a lot more upright. And the one piece of advice, the biggest piece of advice that I gave Deegan is I said that pretend somebody has this is a way I explain it. I feel like it's really easy to just create the visual. Pretend somebody has a string from your sternum and they're pulling the string as you accelerate. This is your sitting position. This is your standing position as well, but your sitting position. What it does is you pull with your shoulder blades and your back instead of your forearms. Your chest comes forward with your head. So you're not sticking your neck out like this. You're very flush with your chin and your chest, which is something that, if you guys have been listening, Sexton has been talking about lately. You're not pulling with the forearms at all. The elbows can remain nice and squared up. And the most important part is your abs can stay turned on and your hips can stay in the anterior pelvic tilt position, which disconnects your lower body from your upper body. It is the secret to how Jet is able to not make mistakes in the corners. And when you've seen Sexton make the mistakes in the corners, I would argue that it is almost always because he would hunch his back and that upper body would connect to the lower body. You're seeing Sexton do it less. It still does happen sometimes. I see freeze frames and pictures of him where it looks a little bit rolled. So he can even improve upon that a little bit. But having the hips in the right spot is the biggest secret of anything that you can do on the dirt bike. And that's what Deegan's been working on this year, it seems, right? Unless it's just coincidence that he's gotten better at that. I see a big difference from this to this year, and creates consistency. Deegan, clearly, by a long shot, is the most consistent person in that 250 class. Another observation, and this is a huge separator as well. I think that especially in the 250 class, there seems to be an obvious display of who has belief and maybe who doesn't have complete belief. So what I mean by that, I was always, up until last year, 2 years ago, I would always say that confidence is a really, really delicate thing, and it's so difficult to gain it, and it's so easy to lose it. And now I realize that that was incorrect of me to say. That is, though, how most professional athletes, period, and definitely motocross athletes operate, in that it's not true belief. It's like a confidence of the confidence comes with performance results and data each weekend. And so it takes a while to accumulate the data and accumulate the confidence. And then as soon as you have one bad result, the confidence kind of withers away. And then like the visual is, well, all right, you're right back at the beginning. And then you have to gather that data again to be able to build the confidence back up. I think there's a different way of looking at it. And I think that there's a few people that operate with the complete belief system as opposed to the kind of more 3D world confidence. Is Deegan and Jet are the two big ones that stand out. Even Hunter shows signs of the very human need to build the confidence, and you can see the confidence drop a little bit. Now, Hunter, I do believe, is really high level. I've had some great conversations with Hunter, but he proves to be a little bit more human in that sense than Jet does. Now, Jet hasn't had as much adversity. I think also there was a lot of lessons learned when Hunter was really young, and I think Jet has a slightly different frame of mind that's a little bit more probably bulletproof, you would guess, than Hunter's. But what's amazing about that is that Dazzy was, and Emma, so both parents, and I'm sure other people as well, were able to instill that in Jet and Hunter. Because I find that that true belief really eludes you until you accomplish it and see for yourself that, oh, I get it now. If I had believed the whole time, I would have been getting these things that eluded me the entire time because I didn't believe that I had earned it. I didn't believe that I was I didn't believe it was possible. So it took for me to make it in this business and really create really create something and learn and read all these books, to where now I'm like, oh, I understand. I understand what real belief is and what it feels like. And it's unwavering, but it's very impressive. The fact that with Dazzy and Emma, Jet and Hunter's mom, their story and how they raised the kids and how difficult it was, and that he was, pretty sure he was doing not shiplap, what the heck is it called? Stucco on houses. Shout out Stucco. And to be able to instill that type of mindset, I would say that it is much easier, and people you can totally argue this the exact opposite. I would say that it is much easier to teach that complete, utter belief mindset, not cockiness, complete belief, from somebody that's been there, done that, and made it. So Brian Deegan. You would think that Brian has a huge advantage over somebody like Dazzy to be able to teach their child how to have that belief. The argument to the opposite of that would be, well, then you're going to get a spoiled rich kid, right? But I don't think that's the case. I think that Brian earned his success, so he understood what it took to get there, and seems like a very involved father, to where he would teach his children the lessons to be able to earn it in the same way. But long story long, what you see from Deegan is belief. I mean, big time. It's fun to freaking watch. In fact, I find myself really fast forwarding through the 450 races, and I've been captivated by some of these 250 races that have happened, especially with the Master Pool Deegan ones. whoa, sweet. Honestly, some of the best racing we've had in a while, I feel like. But Deegan just believes it. And you can see that. I don't think he's that much more physically fit than all the other guys, but he believes that he is. And he believes in that last part of the moto that he's going to be just eating those guys alive. And the other guys know it's coming. And even in a champion like Prado, you can see it, like where those laps start to kind of tick away and that time off the clock ticks away and Deegan's coming. It's inevitable. You see it happening, and that's belief. Yep, it's hard to explain, but you can definitely read about it. Let me give you five books off the top of my head to read about it. Biology of Belief, Bruce Lipton. Will teach you what belief is at the cellular level and how a cell will adapt to its environment, aka the thoughts that you have is the environment you create for the cells inside of your body to be able to actually become the person that you want to be. It teaches, like, again, to the cellular level what belief is. That's a difficult read, but a good one. What are some other ones? 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, Deepak Chopra. Don't know if that's how you say his name. Very easy read, very awesome read. Psycho-Cybernetics, Maxwell Maltz, is it? Easy read, amazing read. Think and Grow Rich even. That's the book that started it all for me, Think and Grow Rich. And it was well before the time where science was starting to prove all of these things right, but it all is the same thing and it's amazing. That's a great one. Also an easy read. What about some ones behind me? Any with belief back here? The Power Now, Less About Belief. Emile Coué, French guy from maybe the 1800s. Self-mastery through auto-suggestion is what it's called. Something self-mastery and auto-suggestion. Really, really good book. That's where I got every day in every way. I'm getting better and better. And that's like the most powerful mantra you could tell yourself. And that's what I tell Amelia every single day. And his book talks a lot about auto-suggestion and suggesting to your subconscious all of the things that you want to become. So it really kind of teaches you how to establish belief. Oh, there's so many. The more education you create, the more you can become an individual like that. And the talent's the easy part. The developing the skill sets is the easy part. Developing that mindset, a lot of people never get there. It just requires for me, it required a lot of learning and a lot of hours reading. I don't know how many books I've read in the last year or two, but it's been a lot, and I've spent countless thousands of hours reading. Oh, I didn't know these had a button. That's cool. Okay, well, I'm 38 minutes in. So that's it. I'm going to sign off. We're hopping on a plane, flight to somewhere. Episode 99.5. We did it. Let me know in the comments. Did you guys like this? Did you not like it? 38 minutes. I feel like that's a good sweet spot for solo episodes, at least. Next episode, join us for episode 100. Okay. Toodles.